Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining me today for this demonstration on Simple WMS. So for anyone who doesn't know, WMS stands for Warehouse Management System. So let's have a look at what we are going to cover today. Firstly, we'll discuss what Simple WMS is in terms of our offering, why a warehouse management system might be right for your business. We'll then go from there and look at which processes are covered through our warehouse management interface, which standard Business One processes you can execute on mobile devices, etc. After we've had the demonstration, we can look at where your return on investment is from choosing to go and implement a warehouse management system. And one thing I want to focus in on is that we're showing you a very simple solution today, a very simple warehouse management system. We do have a more advanced warehouse management system where your requirements dictate that is what you need simply. We call this one Big WMS. So we have Simple WMS and Big WMS, and I can tell you some of the differences between both of those. Then at the end, we can continue to take any, as Dan said, we can have any questions and we can get those answered for you as well. Okay, so let's get in. So what is Simple WMS? Simple WMS is a system that has been developed by the team here at Milner Browne. Very simply, WMS is an interface for your warehouse personnel. So the idea is that we can have any information that's stored within the Business One database visible on a handheld device. There is no data that's actually stored on the device itself. Everything operates on a real-time basis. So any information we read out from Business One there and then, and any transactions that happen will be committed to your SAP Business One database as they happen on the device. We have full compliance with multi-warehouse and multi-bin setups within SAP, and it uses the standard SAP Business One processes, so your goods in to your picking and packing, goods out and moving stock around your warehouse. The system can run from within a web browser, but it can also run from any warehouse-specific device, like a handheld barcode scanning device. And we can host this solution either on-premise, so if you have an on-premise deployment, we can load this onto your system and give you access to the system for your warehouse users, or we can have it cloud-based if that is your preference. Okay. Why might a warehouse management system be right for your business? Well, mostly we find that scanning barcodes is certainly much faster than writing information down, perhaps on a paper-based system, what has been picked in terms of item codes, batches, locations that things may have been taken from. And the transactions can happen there and then. So there's certainly a time efficiency there where you can actually perform a transaction while you're out and actually picking items for packing for your sales orders. So there's no more going back and forward to a warehouse terminal or to an office to go and process any transactions that you would do within the warehouse. Accuracy. So we have increased accuracy. There are less picking errors because everything is barcode controlled. So you can simply scan product barcodes and have that relate to the item back in your SAP database. We can also have controls over bins, so you can simply scan a label that would be attached to your bin, which would have a barcode on there, so you can have better stock accuracy in terms of picking the correct product, but you can have accuracy in terms of maintaining stock within individual bins in your warehouse. Everything is done in real time. As I said before, we have no data that's stored in the warehouse management system. Everything comes from SAP Business One. So every transaction that happens is happening in real time effectively. If you're a SAP Business One user and you want to see what has been picked in your warehouse, you can see this. You can see the results of what your warehouse users have been doing. Okay. The processes that are covered. So today for our demonstration, we'll cover most of the elements of simple warehouse management. So we can look at a goods in process. We'll then have a put away process. So this isn't technically a Business One process as such, but many warehouses will have a goods in area where they can temporarily place goods until they're put away into the allocated location. So back in Business One, this is simply a stock transfer document, so we can show how this happens. We can then pick items and send them out the door, create deliveries from there, and then we can look at some of the inquiry features. So we can look at stock inquiries either by bin or by item. We can carry out stock transfers, and I'll speak a bit about stock counting and how you can use Simple WMS to help you with this. Okay, so now we can go into the demonstration. So I'll just load up a few items here. Okay, so on the left hand side I have my SAP Business One, and on the right hand side I have Simple WMS operating on a tablet. So the first thing is that you can have specific warehouse designed handheld barcode scanners. Another option is to have a tablet with a Bluetooth scanner. So our Simple WMS will work with either or option. I'm going to log into the system now. Every user has their own username and password, but the important part is they do not have to be an SAP Business One user. Okay, there's no need for an SAP Business One license. You can control who has access, set up passwords for your individual warehouse users. So first thing that we're going to do is we're actually going to come back into SAP, and we're going to create a purchase order. Okay, so I'll open my purchase order screen. I'll choose my supplier, and now I'll add some items to my purchase order. So I have 3 here, and I would like to take all 3 and add those. I'll change the quantities, and we'll have 120 of each of those. And that's perfect. Now we can add this to the system. Okay. So now over in the Simple WMS, I can now process my purchase order when the goods arrive at my warehouse. So simply if I click on my goods in, I'm then presented with 2 more options. I can process the purchase order, so I'll click on this option. And if I know the number of the purchase order I'm processing, I can simply type it in here. If I want to be presented with a list, I can click on process, and I can see all of the outstanding purchase orders that are due for delivery to my warehouse. Okay, so I'm going to select this one by clicking on the line. And at this point I can put in a delivery reference that may come from the supplier. So I can put in DL1234 there. And now we can go and continue to process the purchase order. So I have 2 options here. One option that I have is that I can simply click the line and enter the quantity that I have. Okay, which may be fine for an order with 3 lines on there. So I'll do that for this line. And we'll say we'll select all 120. And you can see now that the line turns green. So what this is a visual signal to say you have received the full quantity that you were expecting to be delivered. Okay. I can also scan. So if I click on the scan button here, there we go. I can now scan a barcode. So I have a barcode assigned to the second item there, which is simply 002. And when I scan the barcode that's attached to this item, it will recognize the item code. So if we look at the top here, we can see the item code has more zeros in there, but the barcode that we've scanned is the barcode that's attached in your item master data in SAP. I can then say how many of these that I have received. So this one, we can say, right, okay, we're expecting 120. Let's say we just receive one of these. Let's see what impact that will have on the system. So if I go back, we can see now that this line is in yellow. So what this is telling us is that we haven't received the full quantity that we were expecting to receive. Okay, and again, I'm going to receive in the third item now. This one has a barcode of 003. Where I'm typing these in here, but the effect of you scanning the barcode would have the equivalent result. The box is populated with the information stored within the barcode. And I will receive in the full quantity of this item. Okay. So we'll just accept that. Now, this item has actually been set in my business one to be a batch controlled item. The system recognizes this within Simple WMS, and at this point now I need to specify which batch, the batch number, before I can proceed. So again, I could either scan this or I can type this in. Okay. Here I have one batch for the full quantity, but if I had different batches, perhaps my quantity of 120 was split over 2 different batches, I can record that information as well. Okay, so now at this point that we're reaching the end of processing the batch, I now have the option to print my own labels for the particular batch that I have recorded. I can now go and attach these to the product for use in the picking, packing and dispatching out of my warehouse. Okay, but I don't want to do that, so I'm going to go and click on go back. Okay, and we now have the full result of our purchase order. Okay, so I can now post this to the system. It will ask me if I want to post the goods received, which in Business 1 is a goods receipt PO document. So we'll let that do that and post that there. So we could see that a goods receipt note has successfully been created with the number 10. Okay, so if I go back into SAP Business 1, go back to my purchase order, right click on here, well, we can see first of all that 2 of these lines are now closed. And one of them has an open quantity of 119. So in a real-time basis, we now have visibility on what has been received. Just to further emphasize this, I can right click on here and look at my relationship map. I'll let that load, and we can see now here that the link between purchase order and the goods receipt for that purchase order has been maintained. So we're using the standard SAP functionality, but exposing that through the Simple Warehouse Management interface. Okay. Next step that we want to look at is a put away transaction. So if I go back into my tablet here, I have 2 options. So if I know the goods receipt number that I would like to go and put away into locations, I can simply enter the number here and be presented with a list. Alternatively, I can go through my goods in area, scan barcodes, and then go and put these away into the allocated location for these items. Okay. So I'll choose 001 again as being first item that I had selected. So I scan the barcode, and now I'm presented with a list of all of the quantities that I have received into that warehouse. Okay. So I can say, right, this quantity here of 120, just simply by clicking the line, is the one that I would like to process. And now I'm presented with an option to select a bin. So first thing is bins where I already have stock of that item are displayed in the top section of the screen. So I can click on the double arrow button there and that will select the bin. So this is all about if you already have stock in a location, you can put your new stock in the same location. And I can define the quantity that I would like to put in there. If you need to put it in a new location, simply you can key within this box here. For the bin, you can key this in, or you can scan a barcode that would be on a label beside that bin location. Okay. Okay, so now I can process multiple transactions as well. I'll do one here. And when I click on post, now we will have a transaction occurring in SAP Business 1. So I will close this. Okay, and if I now go to my stock management, stock transactions, and stock transfers, and go to the latest document that was added, we can see here that a stock transfer has taken place for 120 units of item number 1, and it's moved to a specific bin location. Okay, so it's moved from one bin location that you would define as being a goods in bin location to the location that we had actually selected within our Simple Warehouse Management System. Okay. So now that we have the stock in place, we might want to go and pick the stock for a sales order and dispatch that out of the warehouse. So first of all, let's sell some of these items. So let's place a sales order. Okay, again, I'll choose my customer. And I will now choose items that I would like to sell to this customer. So we'll have all 3 items, and we may have a quantity of 5 of each. 5, 5, and 5. We could choose the delivery date for this sales order, and we can now add this one to the system. Okay, so for anyone who's familiar with the Pick Pack Manager in SAP Business One, Simple WMS will use the same functionality that we have there. So I can right click on here on my sales order, and I can generate a pick list for this sales order. There is another entry point for the Pick Pack Manager if you want to look at that across the board. So I can select which lines I would like to pick. So the idea here is that we can have multiple lines being split so that many different pickers can pick from a certain section of a warehouse. My requirements are very simple. I would just simply like one picker to pick everything for this one sales order. And now, because we have a batch controlled item, the system is telling me that I need to go and allocate a batch to this particular pick list. Okay, so I'm just going to auto-select the first available batch that was booked into the system earliest and click on Update. Okay. Oh, restart. Okay, so now that we've selected the batch, we can now generate the pick list for this order. Again, I have many options as to which bins we can pick from, how we can go and split the pick list. Many of these will be useful when you're looking at this across the board for many sales orders at once. But when I'm happy with the selections I've made, I can now have Business One generate the pick list for me. So I have no options available within my open elements within Pick Pack Manager, but when I go into Released, I can see that I now have a released pick list for 3 different elements there, all on one pick list. So I can drill into this here. And I can see the elements that need to be picked for this order. So now we can really go back into Simple WMS. This time I want to go to the Goods Out section, and I want to go to Pick. So again, I can choose from a list, or I can specify the number of the pick list that I would like to pick. In this case, it's pick list number 10. And I can now process this and begin to pick the items. Okay, so I'm now presented with the list 3 items, quantity of 5 each. Again, I can begin to scan these, or I can select them from the list in the table above. Okay, so I'll select this. We have the bin defined that this item is stored within. I'll select 5 of these that we're going to pick these now and move on to the next line. Okay, so we're now on line number 2. Again, I can scan these, or I can select the line and I can go and enter the quantity. So we'll have a quantity of 5 on line number 2, and we can go into the final item and select the quantity of those. And we can specify the batch number. So we've allocated the batch number, which was 002, and we can confirm that's the one that has to be picked. So the warehouse user can still have visibility as to which batch they should be picking from your stock. Pick list has now come to an end, so we can post this to the system. So I click on post. Okay, we'll just give that a second to update. Yeah, perfect. Okay, update success. Perfect. So now that we have picked our sales order, we would need to dispatch it. So this is creating a delivery within SAP Business One. So again, I can choose from a list of pick lists that have now reached the picked status, or I can enter the number since I know it in this case. And this is simply the creation of a delivery. Okay, so it now comes up with a confirmation saying that the delivery note has been created. So if I go back into my SAP Business One, right click on my sales order and look at my relationship map, I should now be able to see a delivery document has been created now that has been linked with the originating sales order. Okay, so it's all very simple and straightforward. I can see the effect of the transactions as well. So let's say we take this first item. We'll drill into here, and we'll look at the movement of stock as a result of the Simple WMS. Okay, so if I go into my stock posting list for this particular item, okay, I'll just make that a little larger so that you can see. So we can see the effect that this has had on here. We've had an input into the warehouse of 120 units for this particular item. We can link that to the originating document, and we can see that 5 have now gone out of the warehouse for this particular customer. We can also within here split by bin location to get visibility on that, and if it were a batch or serial controlled item, we can look at that and get visibility on that as well. Okay. So some other things that we can do with Simple WMS is we can make some stock inquiries. So first thing I'm going to look at here is actually item inquiry. So when I click on item inquiry, I have the same functionality as before. I can scan a barcode, I can type in an item code, and when I do that, it will then tell me all of the locations that I now have that particular item in. From within this screen, I can select one of the bin locations that I have and say, I would actually like to go and transfer this stock from this location to another location. So I can say, right, I have 200 there, I would like to move 100 away to another location, and I can now go and select whichever location that I would like to go and put these items into. Okay, so in this case I'm going to put them into 01A101L3, and when I post that, that will do another stock transfer document. I can, excuse me, I can do the same as well, but from a bin perspective. So I can go and type, I can go into bin inquiry, and let's say I have 01 B1 02 L4. Okay, so I'm now effectively this would be scanning an item location. I could type it in if required, but I can now have visibility of everything that should be in that bin according to what we have in SAP Business One. Okay. The final thing that I really wanted to speak about was stock count. So if anyone is familiar with the stock counting functionality that we have in Business One, we can also expose this through Simple Warehouse Management as well. I'm not going to go through an example here to keep things moving forward quickly, but essentially for anyone who doesn't know how that works, you can generate a stock counting list from within Business One. That can be allocated to a user. They can go within Simple WMS, go into stock, come into the stock count screen, pick up the document number of the stock count or choose from a list, and then begin to scan the quantities that they see within those particular locations for those particular items within your warehouse. This doesn't commit any changes. What this simply will do is give you the count. So then you can check the count against what stock you should have. You can then reconcile that and make any adjustments back within Business One as you would see fit. Okay, so very quickly I'm going to finish off with a couple of elements. I'll cycle back through. Okay, so costs and return on investment really. So within Ireland, we have a separate price for Simple WMS for Ireland and the UK. To buy outright in Ireland, it is €9,000. So this includes all software and services that would be required to implement the system. We do not supply hardware, but we can give you a list of devices that would be compatible, which is most of them essentially. Or within the UK, to buy outright, it's £8,500. We can, and if you want to, we can finance this over a period of 3 years for you. So in euro is 380, and in sterling 335 per month over the 3 years. What are the benefits for you? So as mentioned earlier, you can certainly improve efficiencies within your warehouse, accuracy within your warehouse, reduce picking errors, have real-time visibility over any transactions that are happening. Okay. You can have the concept of warehouse management begin in your warehouse, which really takes you onto the path of starting off with something simple with the potential to move up to the big warehouse management system. So the big warehouse management system has a few advantages over the simple one. It has more features where they are required for your business. So where the technology that big WMS uses is the same technology as Simple WMS. It's really an extension of functionality. Example of that is that we have the ability in big WMS to configure more than 300 elements actually, and begin to customize workflows. Okay, so at which point do you allocate batch numbers? Do you want to have particular additional checks happening, perhaps 2 counters when it comes to things like stock checks, all of these different kinds of customizations, and many more. We've done many things to the big product. You can add more processes, so you can transfer stock between warehouses, receive those in, issue stock out to different warehouses, that different type of thing. You can customize your menus, and you can set up hotkey access as well, so it's simply push of a key brings you directly into a commonly used screen. There's an unlimited number of users for big warehouse management, whereas for Simple WMS, the limit for users is 5 users. With big WMS, we can automate the printing of paper reports. So if you wanted to print off a loading plan or a dispatch manifest, you can do that through the big product. You can customize your labels and have the look and feel and layout that you would like to have within the big warehouse management system, whereas the simple one will come with the ability to generate labels, but will be a standard layout. You can customize your display and begin to have control over what each user can do within the big warehouse management system. Simple warehouse management is simply and almost what you see is what you get type application. Very simple. We'll do the basic transactions that are required. And finally, for big warehouse management, you can actually have visibility over what each user is actually doing, what their current transaction is, the history of their transactions, etc. Okay, so I hope that explains some of the differences between the two products.
Thanks again, Richie, for your presentation, and thank you all to our attendees who have joined us today. We hope you have a good rest of the day and look forward to seeing you on our next webinar. Bye for now.